So that's the start. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful evening and welcome to our webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. We can maybe give it a moment or so whilst everyone joins. But maybe in the meantime, I can give you a brief introduction to myself. My name is Akshay Iyer. I'm part of the advisory team here at Sarwa. And a little bit about me is I actually have a background in banking as well as private wealth management, one of the wealth advisors on the team here at Sarwa. I started my career at the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce in Canada. It's also where I was educated. And following that, I worked for a British private wealth management firm. Actually licensed and qualified as an advisor with the Canadian Securities Institute and also the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investments. And basically been working with Sarwa now for 2.5 years and very, very passionate about what we're doing here. And the company's goal is to try to democratize investing, to try and make it a lot more easy, accessible, flexible to those people in the region. And I'm also joined by my colleague, Eamon Gebri, who is the head of our advisory team. Eamon, if you want to give everyone an introduction to yourself.
Absolutely, and thank you for the opportunity to Akshay, and thank you for inviting me on to this webinar. Again, my name is Eamon Gebri. I'm the head of wealth advisory here at Sarwa. Been in the region now for just over 13 years. I celebrated my anniversary on New Year's Eve, not my wedding anniversary, but my UAE anniversary. Spent 3 years of that with Sarwa, taking the helm on as the head of advisory. And prior to, I was with HSBC, working in their wealth management division, working with clients like yourself, giving them guidance and support on how to achieve their financial goals. Prior to, I also am from Canada. Akshay and I did not cross paths. He was on one side of the country and I was on the other. But nonetheless, we found each other here at this company. I was working for a bank called TD Canada Trust, which was a competitor to Akshay's bank.
That it was.
But we were better. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today to Sarwa 101. And Akshay, I know you have done a really great job of putting this together to help all of our new users to Sarwa, to help them get a better understanding of what's available to them, what resources. So I would love for you to take it further from here, and I'm here to support.
Of course. So look, whether you are a first-time investor, whether you're an experienced trader, we are very excited today to kind of show you how to use our app to basically make the most of your investments, right? So during this webinar, we will guide you through our various products, funding your account, the pricing, selecting the right investment options for whichever needs that you might have. And we're also going to be answering any questions that you have, right? And providing tips and insights to help you get started on that investment journey. So look, before we get started, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A as we go through the presentation. And we'll actually get to those questions at the end of the presentation. It should be, 20, 30-minute presentation. But look, as I said, it's really the objective of this is to try and get basically allow you to have a better understanding of what we do and how you can get started with the platform.
Amazing. And just before we start, I see there's a comment here that they can't hear us. Can I just ask the audience members to confirm to us if you are able to hear us? I'm just worried that if we're speaking to the void, I can hear you, Akshay, you can hear me, and we tested this to make sure that it was working. So if audience members, I see you raising your hand. Yes, you can hear me. So
we can hear you. Okay.
The gentleman who identified that you can't hear us, it might be just more the audio settings on your computer. So maybe just try to fiddle around with the settings or potentially maybe restart your program and then you can be able to hear us. But thank you, Wasim, for confirming that you can hear us. All right, on with the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so before we actually get started, we usually need to do our disclaimers. So the first one is that we can't tell the future. We don't have a crystal ball. A lot of people come into webinars and come into events asking for stock picks. Unfortunately, we don't have any. I can't predict the future. Eamon can't. Warren Buffett can't predict the future. So keep that in mind. We're not going to be kind of speculating, and it's just be mindful that no one has a crystal ball. The second one is the presentation that we're going through. The majority of things that we're going to cover will address most people's needs and concerns, but please don't take this as one-on-one financial advice. So always make sure that you kind of do your own research before making any investment decisions yourself. Okay. Now we can get the show on the road. Now at Sarwa, we really believe that investing should be accessible to everyone, right? Regardless of their experience, regardless of their wealth. And that's why we actually created a very user-friendly investment app that makes it very easy for anyone, right, to start investing and grow their wealth over time. So we're the region's first digital wealth management platform, and our ethos is to really provide cost-effective, transparent, and flexible investment solutions in the region. And when we initially started, the Sarwa journey, when our co-founders did, they started with Sarwa Invest. And Sarwa Invest is our managed advisory portfolio. And since then, we've expanded into, a variety of different products, such as trade, crypto, and even something called Sarwa Save. So the goal is to become, a personal finance one-stop shop and really elevate the personal finance journey for everyone, and then for everyone in our audience and for all of our customer base. So what I want to do is go through each of our products in a bit more detail. And by that, hopefully you'll get a better understanding of what each of these products are, and then the funding journey as well as the pricing journey as well, too. So the first one we're going to start with is Sarwa Invest. And as I said before, right, Sarwa Invest is our managed advisory solution. And for a lot of people, and especially people in this region, right, investing is challenging. It always has been challenging. There's been a lot of barriers to enter the investment market, whether it's high commissions, high trading fees, lock-in periods, exit penalties. A lot of people have heard the horror stories about investing. And what we're trying to do is really change that. And I think we've done a really good job of that so far. And when you invest, there's a lot of things you need to look out for, which assets to buy. Now, once you decide which assets to buy, you need to make sure that they're the correct ones, right? For your risk, for the goals that you have in mind. You need to think about the platforms, the brokerage accounts, the fees, overall maintenance of the portfolios, things like dividend reinvesting and investment rebalancing. So our founders saw, this as a challenge and started Sarwa with Sarwa Invest as the first, product. And I think what we consider to still be a core offering. Sarwa Invest, as I said, it's a managed advisory, robo-advisory platform. And what this means for you as an investor, all you have to do is deposit funds into the account, and then we take care of the rest. So the portfolio construction, the dividend reinvesting, the investment rebalancing, all of these portfolios are constructed according to your attitude to risk and also your goals and objectives. So we actually invest your money into globally diversified portfolio of ETFs, so exchange traded funds, and basically give you exposure to every single major asset class. So stocks, bonds, real estate, commodities. We give you exposure to a variety of different geographies. So the emerging markets, foreign developed markets, US market, and different sectors too. So you can think of financial services, healthcare, consumer staples, all of these different sectors. So it's an all-encompassing investment solution, right? It's really the definition of autopilot investing. You put money into the account, you let it appreciate over time. You don't need to do anything, right? You have the choice to choose different portfolio types, and we'll go into that a bit more. But really, it is designed to be, set it and forget it. This is what we like to say. So a lot of people, who've been in the region for a while, and I kind of touched upon this earlier, are, would be actually be very happy to hear that all of these accounts are fully flexible. They're all fully accessible. There's no lock-in periods. There's no exit penalties. If you need to access funds at any point in time, you can do so. Yeah, you're not penalized for that by any means. And if you, have over $50,000 invested with us, you also will have access to dedicated financial advisors. But at the same time, there is an investment in a financial advice journey whilst you start your process with Sarwa. Some of the other advantages for Invest is that you have the ability to have various different accounts, different risk levels, and that's really a good idea if you've got different goals in mind, right? So some people have accounts for, retirement. Some people have accounts for buying a house. Some people have accounts for children's education. You can do all of that, right? Multiple different accounts. And you also have the ability to have a joint account, right? And we wanted to take it even one step further by providing you with the option to assign a beneficiary. In the case that you're to pass away, it's a very clear path to succession for your Sarwa Invest portfolio. So that's basically an overview of the product, I'll say. But going a little bit deeper, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Sarwa Invest philosophy. When a lot of people try, they want to kind of understand exactly what we're investing in and the principles that we invest in, right? And Sarwa Invest is based on a Nobel Prize winning economic theory and philosophy called modern portfolio theory. And we're very big believers of passive investing and being invested in a globally diversified portfolio of assets. The main reason for that is it minimizes risk, but also enhances returns at the end of the day. We actually make sure that we don't speculate or try to time the markets, because even the top hedge fund professionals in the world, they fail to do this consistently. And by keeping the investments really simple, we actually are able to keep our costs low, and this will keep our costs lower for our clients and doesn't eat into your investment returns at the end of the day. I actually, it's very openly will say that we have a very vanilla investment philosophy. It's pretty boring, but the reason why, it's because it works. It always has done, and it likely always will. So as I said, we're very confident in that investment approach because it's tried, it's tested. We've got an investment committee that includes academic and industry experts, and they actually bring a lot of the world's top research in constructing portfolios, but not only just in constructing them, but in monitoring them also. So these are the four pillars of our investment philosophy. Um, and it's really important that to kind of note that this is a passive investment solution, right? Now with Sarwa Invest, right, we've got the option of three core portfolio types. The first one is a conventional portfolio. The second is a socially responsible portfolio. Socially responsible portfolio basically prioritizes environmental social governance as measures as a framework. The third option that we have is halal portfolio, which is very high in demand, and these are Sharia certified investment portfolios. Now, with these three core portfolios, we also have two extra ones where you have the option to add crypto to the conventional and the socially responsible portfolio by allocating 5% into Bitcoin, which is accessed through the Bitcoin Grayscale Trust. So this is capped at 5% as it's meant to just add a layer of diversification, another layer towards the portfolio. And look, we're big proponents of making investing accessible to everyone. That's why we have low minimum entry points. You don't have to start investing with $50,000 or $100,000 or anything like that. We have low entry points. So that was everything for Sarwa Invest. And as I said, right, that was our the product that first started. That's how our founders started the company, with Sarwa Invest as our rope advisory solution. But since my time and since Eamon's time as well, we always used to have clients that said, look, they want to be in the driver's seat, when it comes to investing. They like to have the option to pick their own stocks. They maybe want to trade, their own crypto. They want to construct their own portfolio of ETFs. And this is something that is available, on Sarwa, through Sarwa Trade. And I think, a lot of people would always get the question, right? Can I buy Apple? Can I buy Amazon, Tesla, Netflix? So we actually gave people what they wanted by creating Sarwa Trade. And very simply, Sarwa Trade is a DIY brokerage. So it's a do-it-yourself brokerage where you have the power to buy and sell, over 4,000 listed US stocks as well as ETFs. So Sarwa Trade was developed with this region in mind, right? With the community in mind over here. So thinking about, what are the pressing problems for investors in this region, and basically redesigned a traditional trading platform in a Sarwa way, making it much more user-friendly, make it much more transparent, and make it much more flexible. And look, some of the key differences actually include being able to sign up in minutes. It's a mobile-first app. You basically have zero transfer fees for local accounts, no minimums, and also access to customer support. And a key component about Sarwa Trade is that you have the ability to trade assets that are listed on US exchanges. You've heard of New York Stock Exchange, you've heard of NASDAQ. These are the ones that you can trade on, any listed US exchanges. And the trading hours that you'll be able to access are according to US market hours. So that means that any trades that you place are going to be executed when the market's open. So it's either 6:30 p.m. To 1 a.m. UAE time during daylight savings time, or 5:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. UAE time during just standard time. So another key component is Sarwa Crypto. And Sarwa Crypto and trading cryptocurrencies is actually available within the trade feature on the Sarwa app. So you are able to buy various crypto coins with as little as $5, and you own the underlying crypto assets yourself. So something else that's really great with Sarwa Crypto and the nature of crypto is that you can trade 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you want to trade on the go, all good, you're good to do that. So crypto can be bought and sold by either a market order or conditional order at any time. So once you place that order, basically what happens is the crypto gets converted to US dollars, and then the funds will be available, in your trade account. So you can even buy fractional shares, and you can also just sell, the full, amount of your holdings. And in terms of the actual, crypto itself, it's stored with Alpaca. So Alpaca is our brokerage partner, and it's stored with their exchange partners. And they're basically have an underlying institutional grade digital asset and digital asset custodians. So the point is that you can access these funds at any point in time and buy and sell as you please, basically as you choose. And finally, our most recent product. Oh, sorry about that. Our most recent product launch was Sarwa Save, which we launched about a year ago. We had a lot of clients, right, who wanted a low risk savings solution that actually paid them a return, right? Average savings account for people in this region is 0.8% per year. And with Sarwa Save, the current yield is 3% per year. We wanted to capitalize on the current interest rate environment last year and really bring a solution, that clients can put forward and have a more holistic financial picture by including cash and cash equivalents in that. So we have a lot of individuals who use Sarwa Save for an emergency reserve or any short-term goals, whether that's putting a down payment on a house or trying to any big expenses that they might have coming up in the future. They tend to use Sarwa Save for that. But at the end of the day, it's fully flexible, fully accessible. You can use it for whatever means that you want to. So there's two options with Sarwa Save. The first is a conventional save product, which is a US dollar account. What that means is you transfer funds, and when you transfer those funds, the money's in US dollars, and it's not invested in any securities, and you're just paid interest on a monthly basis, and that interest is compounded monthly too. So huge advantage, you get that money in your account. It's not locked away or anything like that. You have that interest paid every single month. Now, the second option that we have for Sarwa Save is Sarwa Save Halal, and that's actually a Sharia compliant savings vehicle. So what that means is you transfer funds, the money is actually invested in a money market fund. Money market fund is a highly liquid, short-term security. So think about it almost like a fixed income instrument that has a very short duration. So you have these two options, right, with Sarwa Save. And like with all of the other Sarwa products, both of these options with Sarwa Save, they have no lock-in periods, no deposit fees, no withdrawal fees, anything like that. So that is an overview of the sort of three product offerings that we have at Sarwa, right? Covering Sarwa Invest, Sarwa Trade and Crypto, as well as Sarwa Save. So Eamon, I'm going to pass it over to you to kind of discuss a little bit more on how to get started with Sarwa and what that journey takes and basically what that journey is.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Akshay. And essentially what we're doing, we're just walking you through the journey of, okay, you've registered, your account is now open, and you've reviewed the material and you've chosen which investment solution you want to proceed with. Well, how do you take that first step? Well, essentially, you have to fund your investment account. And exactly what I'm going to show you now is show you the different ways of funding your account, show you the process and the timelines that comes along with it, what is auto deposit versus one-time deposit. So we're going to jump right into it. And I noticed that there's already a couple of questions already posed in our Q&A section. Don't worry, we're going to be getting to those questions very shortly. Just as soon as the presentation is over, we're going to jump into answering any questions. And for those who have questions, you don't need to wait until the end of the presentation to post them. So feel free to just jot them down into our Q&A section and we'll be covering them towards the end, okay? So let's start with how to get started, right? So essentially, you have to fund your Sarwa account. And there's two mechanisms that you can use, or two ways to fund your Sarwa account. And they both are related to the exact same thing, which is that you have to get money from your bank account over into your Sarwa investment account. Now, you can do a traditional bank transfer, which I'm certain that most of us are very familiar with, which is, you add a beneficiary onto your online banking and you transfer funds over to the respected beneficiary, or you can use your debit card. And the debit card option is available for international and local users, of debit card funding. Let's drill down a little bit further to talk about how to fund your Sarwa account. If we can go to the next slide there, Akshay. So when it comes to transferring funds over from bank to bank, you can either do it through the app, and in the app, we've actually integrated through this API through this company called Lean, which makes it so user-friendly, and that's why we called it Easy Funding, which essentially what it does is it connects your bank account directly to your Sarwa app itself, or Sarwa investment account. And what that allows you to do is just seamlessly transfer funds directly from your bank account into your Sarwa account. And this, application is available with most, if not all, UAE banks here. There's probably a handful outliers that are not integrated into this system, but most of the UAE banks are on there. And this allows you to be able to transfer, on a single transfer basis, meaning that you have to manually go in and say, look, I'm going to transfer $500, $1,000, whatever it might be. So every time you go into your app, you have the ability to say, hey, you know what? I feel like just transferring some money into my investment account. And that's what the app allows you to do through this integration called Easy Funding. Now, you'll have the secondary option, which is the traditional bank-to-bank transfer, as I was describing earlier on, where you will register your Sarwa account as a beneficiary. You'll make sure you put your reference number for your specific account number. If you have multiple accounts with Sarwa, just be specific to mention the account number that you want the money to be routed to. And again, this is perfect for manual transfer. As a single transfer, so you can actually just log into your online banking and transfer it. And there's a step-by-step guide, by the way, on the website and also on the app that tells you exactly how to do it. It'll show you the IBAN number, the SWIFT details, etc. And it's very intuitive. You just follow those instructions, including confirming that you forwarded the funds over. So this is manual funding. The third option is auto deposits, especially for those who are looking to set up SIPs and you want to make your life very easy for you. You can actually set up an SIP through your bank where essentially you're pushing the money into your Sarwa account. So Sarwa will never basically we will never be able to debit your account to fund your account. So it's not an SIP in which it's an automated transfer that we are instructing from our behalf. So you are essentially pushing the money to your Sarwa account, not us pulling it. We don't have your banking details, so we don't have the authorization to be able to pull funds from your account. So unfortunately, we don't have that service, but you can always set it up so that, hey, every month you want to have a certain amount transferred over directly into your Sarwa account. You can do that through your online banking. Through your bank, and just double check with them. Every bank has their own ways of doing that. I know with me, I have that ability. There's a button that says set this up as a reoccurring transfer, and I click it and it'll set up as a reoccurring transfer. And every institution has their own ways of doing it. So this is the traditional ways of how you can fund your your Sarwa accounts through bank transfers. For those who are interested in using debit cards, that is an option available to you. So it's available for local UAE cards and also international UAE cards that you have the ability to just, instead of, transferring money manually, you can actually instruct payment to be done through your debit card itself. And there's a portal on the app itself that allows you to go through step by step so that you can fund it. Key case in point, and I just wanted to reiterate this, and as if, it should be kind of known by everyone, it must be a card that's under your name. So, if you have the proclivity to borrow a friend's card and try to make that transfer, it will be declined. It will not work. I say this only because if we've seen this happen before, where say, hey, I'll use my wife's card, or my wife will say, I'll use the husband's card. No, it has to be a card under your name in order to authorize this transaction. Sorry. Now let's talk about timelines, right? And I can take this step by step. So when you fund your Sarwa account, there is timelines associated with how long it takes for the funds to arrive. I know we're quite used to within the UAE that if I send money to Akshay, for example, it's almost there instantaneously, which is correct. We will receive it locally instantly. However, your Sarwa accounts on the back end, we actually work with pre-existing brokers that are not domiciled in the UAE. For example, for Sarwa Invest and Sarwa Save, we work with Saxo Bank. That is the engine that powers all of the trades and is also the custodian for Sarwa Save. And those providers, or Sarwa or Saxo Bank, is located in Denmark. So we actually have to remit an international wire transfer to Saxo Bank in order for it to arrive and for it to show up in your bank account, or in your Sarwa account. So as a result, it does take 2 to 3 business days for Sarwa Invest and Save for the funds to arrive and be deployed into your investment accounts. You're looking at 1 to 2 business days for the international transfer itself, and that third business day is just for it to show up on your portfolio with the balance. Even though the funds have arrived on the second day and they've already been invested and they're already active, but the portfolios are updated every single business day. So you're looking at the next day for it to show up on your portfolio. And that's the case for deposits. Now for debit cards, it's actually much quicker. And the reason being is that partners like Visa and MasterCard have a international network in which they're able to, essentially have funds arrive instantly wherever they want it to arrive. So that's the reason why it's pretty quick. So you're looking at within 1 business day, you can, if you use a debit card option, the funds will arrive there instantly. So, with Visa and MasterCard, they've integrated with Saxo Bank to allow the funds to show up instantly, and that's why it's much quicker. For Sarwa Trade, you're looking at the same timeline, 2 to 3 business days, because in this case, for Sarwa Trade and Sarwa Crypto, we use a broker called Alpaca. Alpaca is located in the US, and again, it takes time for the wire transfer to arrive there. So do expect 2 to 3 business days. And same case in point with debit card funding, it takes 1 business day to get there. Now, when it comes to withdrawals, the timeline is a little bit more extended because when you're selling your portfolio, keep in mind, whenever you sell an investment, there's an automatic 2 business day settlement period. It's called T+2, as it's commonly called within the financial, wealth management industry. Essentially, when you're selling a stock, remember, there's somebody else on the other end who's also buying. That transaction of buying and selling, that means there's an exchange of money for stocks or shares, really, at the end of the day. And every broker around the world, commits to a 2 business day timeline to make sure this exchange is done in the most seamless and the most efficient way possible, to make sure that the person who's purchased your stocks is receiving your stocks and it's being given to the custodian to make sure it's protected and it basically, it's under their ownership. And of course, for you to receive the cash from the sale proceeds itself. So there's an automatic 2 business days, and the rest is just logistics of getting the money back from the broker back to the UAE and us transferring it over to you. So it can take 4 to 9 business days in this case. Typically, it's 4 to 6, but with the exception of the halal portfolios, one of the securities is a mutual fund, and it takes longer than 2 business days for the settlement to be completed. And that's why we just want to make sure that, to give you a realistic expectation, you're looking at 4 to 9 maximum business days, but typically it's 4 to 6 business days for any withdrawals. For Sarwa Save, this is liquid. There's no securities, there's no underlying holdings. At the end of the day, it's liquid cash. So the timeline is just the logistics of getting the money to come back from the broker back over to the UAE and us to transfer it over to you, so you can reasonably have your funds back to you within 2 to 3 business days. If you're looking to make a withdrawal, a debit card option does not exist. It's only a bank transfer that you can have the funds come back to. Of course, you can nominate any bank account that you have anywhere in the world, providing it's under your name, of course. So even though you started with funding your Sarwa account through your UAE bank account, you could always withdraw it to another account that you may have in a different part of the world. For Sarwa Trade, when it comes to withdrawals, assuming that you've already sold your positions, meaning it's already in cash, then it says 2 to 3 business days. But otherwise, if you haven't sold your position yet, it's still being traded, you need to sell it, wait the 2 business days, it's called T+2, and then you're able to actually withdraw it. So you're looking at 2 to 3 business days. And again, same case here, debit card, it does not permit or does not provide you the functionality to be able to withdraw to a debit card. You have to just withdraw it to a bank account itself. So this is the funding timelines. You also have the ability to transfer between accounts, by the way. So say that you're, just like our typical users who might have Sarwa Trade for their day-to-day trading, they have Sarwa Invest for their long-term planning. They also dabble a little bit in crypto, and they have a balance sitting in their Sarwa Save. And let's say you want to be able to transfer, assets from one account to another account. Maybe you want to transfer some money over from your trade account to invest, or maybe you want to transfer invest to crypto or crypto to save. You do have that functionality directly on your app itself. So at any point in time, you can transfer between different accounts. There is timelines, of course, associated with it, because keep in mind, there are different brokers on the back end. So we literally have to execute the sell order, receive the funds available after the T+2 business days for settlement. We transferred over to the other broker. So as a result, there is going to be timelines. So depending on which direction you're going, whether you're going from invest to save or save to invest or trade to save, etc., the business timeline could be anywhere between 2 business days and 5 business days, but it all depends on which direction that you're going. So for example, if you're going from invest to save, you're looking at 2 business days. If you're going from invest to trade, you're looking 4 to 5 business days. If you're looking from trade to either invest or save, you're looking at 3 business days. If you're just transferring from a Sarwa Save account to any Sarwa Invest or maybe another Sarwa Save account you may have, you're looking at 1 to 3 business days. So keep that in mind. just as far as the timelines. Most important thing is that you do know that you do have the functionality to transfer between accounts. Next, we have pricing and fees. And this is where we can get into the nitty-gritty as far as what is the cost of using any one of our products and services. We'll go to the next slide where it's going to highlight right off the bat FX, right? So now this may not be a direct cost, associated with working with Sarwa. At the end of the day, we use a bank to convert your currency from dirham to dollar. All of the underlying assets that we offer through Sarwa is in US dollars. So when it gets converted, the rate that we get through Emirates NBD is 3.6823. So they are converting your dirhams to dollars at a rate of 3.6823. Now, if you're making a withdrawal and you opted to have the funds, in dirham versus in dollar itself, the rate that's going to be applied is 3.6639. So to repeat, 3.6823 to fund your account, 3.6639 to withdraw funds in dirhams. You could always opt, if you already have US dollars and you want to transfer directly to your Sarwa account in US dollars, you have that option because we have a receiving account that's in dirham and dollar. So let's say maybe your bank is giving a more competitive rate, or maybe you already have dollar and you want to transfer directly to Sarwa account, you can, and that way there's no FX exposure whatsoever. And that also is the same for withdrawals as well. So if you want to withdraw in US dollars, and you want to decide to convert it to dirham at a later date, or maybe getting a more competitive rate through your bank, you can always opt to withdraw in US dollars as well too, and that will be kept exactly one-to-one in US dollars. When it comes to funding, if you opt to fund your Sarwa accounts using the means that we talked about, which is just traditional bank transfers, either it could be a manual one that you do through wire transfer, or you use the app and has an integration with your bank, which allows you to fund it, that's free. So you can essentially fund for free into your Sarwa account, so you don't have to worry about international wire transfers. We incur that expense on your behalf. We will transfer on your behalf to your brokerage accounts, but you don't need to worry about that. So it's free local funding when you transfer funds into your Sarwa account. If you use a debit card, however, there are merchant fees applicable in this transaction. So if you use a local debit card, the charge is 2.99% plus 1 dirham per transaction. If you are using an international debit card, the fee is 3.99% plus 1 dirham per transaction. So if you are able to, if you are, local and you want to use a bank transfer as your means of transferring, it's a free. But if you use a debit card, just keep in mind there's a cost. So if it's not necessary for you to use a debit card option and bank transfer is, meets your needs, why not? It's free. But I can understand that some individuals want to get their funds there much faster than the traditional 2 to 3 business days. Well, for that, there is going to be a cost, which is the merchant fees that are going to be applicable in this case. Next, we're going to jump into what is our pricing for our products, right? And earlier in the conversation, Akshay mentioned that we have 4 different services, and just to repeat, we have Sarwa Invest, which is our managed solutions. It's completely automated for you. It's couch potato investing. We take care of all of the rebalancing. We take care of all of the dividend reinvestment for you, and essentially just becomes a very easy investment journey for you. So this is Sarwa Invest. We have Sarwa Save, which is just a deposit account in which you could essentially get a rate of return, and it's currently being offered at 3% per annum. Interest accrues daily, pays out monthly, so you do get that compounding effect happening on a monthly basis, which is great. And this is for our conventional Sarwa Save accounts. For clients who prefer more our Sharia compliant solutions, we have a Sarwa Save Halal, and we'll get into that product feature in a bit as well too. Sarwa Trade. So to mention, Sarwa Save conventional does not have any fees whatsoever, and again, it's liquid. Sarwa Save Halal is an actual investment product, and there is fees associated with it, which is actually 0.50% per annum is what the management fee is of that fund itself. Sarwa Trade, it's a platform to allow you to buy and sell, thousands of US stocks and ETFs, as mentioned earlier. The fee to purchase a stock through this platform is 0.25% of the order amount at a minimum of $1 per trade, right? So to give you a case in point, if you're buying, I don't know, $1,000 worth of stocks, your fee for that transaction would be $2.50. And this is on an all-inclusive fee. So essentially, there's no concern or worry about custodian fees. There's no concern or worry of inactivity fees, regardless of whether you trade often or very seldomly trade. There's no worry about that. This is it. There's no other fees for Sarwa Trade. On the Sarwa crypto aspect of things, it's 0.75% spread is what you're looking at for buying and selling. So keep note of that. Now you'll notice on Sarwa Invest, it says that the fee ranges from 0.5% to 0.85%. And I want to dive into why there's a range, because it all depends on what your portfolio balance is. So if you go to the next page, it says here, if you're a client who has invested at the minimum investment amount level, which is $500, and your portfolio is below $50,000, you fall under our standard package or standard Sarwa Invest package. And with that package, essentially, you'll get your personalized financial advice. You're given a recommendation right at the very beginning of your journey. We're going to be providing you globally diversified portfolios. We do all the rebalancing for you. We do all the dividend reinvesting. Inclusive of being a Sarwa Invest customers, you're always going to be invited to webinars and seminars like the ones that we're hosting with you today on a variety of different topics. I'll give you an example. Last year, we've done conversations on real estate. We had conversations on cryptocurrency. We had conversations on the Sharia. So forgive me, Sharia laws when it comes to inheritance itself. We talked about, portfolio management. We talked about financial planning. We talked about a number. We had about 50 events last year, to give you a case in point. And this is the second one that we've had for the year. We just had one an hour ago. So you're always invited to these seminars to better learn. And we do a combination of in-person seminars in our offices in the DIFC, and we also do webinars as well too on an ongoing basis. So you're always more than welcome to join us for it. You have access to speak to financial advisors. So you can always book an appointment with myself, with Akshay, any one of our financial advisors that we have on our team to have a conversation with them about your unique circumstances. You can open one account, you can open multiple accounts, you can open a joint account, you can make it a single account, right? And again, through the app, you have access to all of Sarwa's products offerings. So if you're a standard customer, basically balance between $500 and $50,000, the fee applicable is 0.85% per annum. And to give an idea of what this looks like, suppose that you had an investment of $10,000. And just for illustration purposes, just to make it easy for calculation, assume that that $10,000 was static and did not change, in portfolio value any given day of the week or month or year for the entire year. So by the end of the year, you would have paid $85. And what that looks like is essentially it's pro rata. You pay as you go on a monthly basis. We actually calculate the number of trading days are in a given month. We look at what your balance is every single day, and we essentially bill you at the end of the month for that time period. What your fee would be. So in the case of $85, that works out to be about $7.09 at the end of every month that you're paying. That's why it's a I would say it's a platform that's actually conducive to your success because it's pay as you go. You're not paying up front altogether. And you could, you have complete control and autonomy to decide if whether this is the right investment platform for you or not. And you're only paying for the time that we're actually providing you that service. Now, keep in mind that the minimum fee is $7 per month, and this is applicable after 3 months. So when you first start, you're only paying the 0.85%, but eventually after the 3-month mark is over, then you'll be paying a minimum of $7 fee, which from value for money perspective, you're looking at typically about $10,000 balance to make it equate to the 0.85%. Now, suppose you had a balance greater than $50,000, and it's below $100,000. You're actually going to be upgraded to our premium classification of Sarwa Invest. And what that will mean is that your fees will be lower. Instead of being 0.85%, it'll be 0.7%. In addition to the lower advisory fees, you're actually going to have access to a dedicated financial advisor who's going to conduct financial planning sessions with you. A financial planning session essentially is a deep dive into to give you more specific, we look at your assets, we look at your liabilities, we look at your income, we look at your expenses, and we help you draw a roadmap with specific, quantified advice on how to achieve your financial goals. So essentially, if you're looking for very direct guidance of, hey, I want to have passive income of this much at this stage of my life, what do I need to do to get to that goal? We'll help you draw out a roadmap for you. And we have all the tools and calculators to be able to give you an idea of exactly what you need to do. Now, in all the other services that we talked about in standard are applicable in premium, and the key difference would be that you get lower advisory fees and you get access to financial planning. Yeah, now if you're a platinum user, this means that you're an individual who has access to over $100,000 within Sarwa Invest. And this is a case in point that your fees are going to be even lower. They're going to be 0.50% per annum is what you're looking at for being a platinum user here at Sarwa. Excellent. So we just talked about the fees, and let's go on to our next slide. Bear with me while it's changing over. We're going to talk about safety of assets. Did you want to take this one, Akshay, or do you want me to take it?
Yes, I'm happy to take this one.
Yeah, no
So yeah,
problem.
this
It'll
is
give my mouth
actually
a break.
yeah. So this is
Mm,
our last little section before we move on to the Q&A. And this is all about the safety of assets, right? In any investments, something that everyone should be asking the question is, look, how safe, how secure is the platform that I'm working with? How safe are the actual assets in place? And then obviously what's the regulatory environment that I'm in as well. So just to give you an overview of kind of what that journey is, and we kind of covered it a little bit more with the funding. So the way that the assets are kept safe and secure is we basically, we have regulators, right? And they have very strict rules on how clients' assets are kept safe. Your assets are secure. There's a lot of different guardrails that surround regulated financial institutions, right? And so we have the same, regulations as what they would have. So when you actually transfer funds, from your bank account, it goes to Sarwa's client money account, which is a bank account that we have with Emirates NBD. It's a highly regulated account, which means that the funds can only be directed towards your account or to the brokerage account. Now, we work with international brokers and custodians, right? With Sarwa Invest, we use Saxo Bank, which is one of the biggest banks and brokerages in the world. They operate in the European Union, and the funds are held in custody with a custodian, which is Citibank. Now, with Sarwa, that's also for Sarwa Save. Now, with Sarwa Trade, we basically use Alpaca Markets, which is a big US brokerage firm, and they use a variety of different custodian banks, and one of the most prominent ones is BMO Harris as well. So basically, the compliance structure is the custody structure, right? That's put in place, and this ensures that all of the client's assets are segregated from our balance sheets, right? So your assets are always going to be held with these institutions and separated from Sarwa's own operations. So the reason why it's important, for whatever reason, if Sarwa was to not exist tomorrow, your assets are held safe, they're held secure with these large institutions for whatever reason. And we've got regulators in place that have a very clear, basically recourse procedure as well. Now, one other thing I would say that really brings a lot of investors peace of mind, and it really should, is regulation. Client security regulation is a very high priority, and that's why we're regulated. I mean, you kind of discussed this a bit as well, by both the DFSA and the FSRA. So the DFSA and the DIFC, which is the Dubai Financial Services Authority, and the FSRA, the Financial Services Regulatory Authority in Abu Dhabi Global Markets. Now, both of these regulatory bodies really are the gold standard when it comes to financial services regulation in this region, right? They follow the same stringent financial regulations that you have in, a lot of developed markets. And this is important, right? Because as a client, if you have any complaints, if you have any issues, there's a very clear path to recourse, and your interests are actually protected. Right? There's a lot of firms, in the marketplace that unfortunately operate without regulation and without stringent regulation. So it's really important, for us to make sure that's important. And the regulators really keep, firms accountable at the end of the day, not just from, an asset protection point of view, but also in terms of account safety, right? Make sure that, we're using, the sort of top end tech to make sure that everything's secure. We use bank level security, and there's also, formal ways that the tech is encrypted too. So this is basically how we make sure that the product is safe and how it's secure by regulation, but also by a lot of measures that we take in place in-house. So that's actually it in terms of our 101 presentation. I think we've got quite a lot of questions in the Q&A function box. So I'm going to move over to that next. So thanks everyone for obviously staying tuned, and also for all the questions that you've submitted in the Q&A box. And I'm going to let you take the first question because
Sure.
I'm finding it challenging to open it up.
No worries, no worries, no worries. So the first question, very early in the webinar was, can I link my PayPal account to Sarwa? Anonymous is the name of the individual, very popular name. I know, unfortunately, PayPal integration is not available. You can, through the app itself, you have the integration which allows you to connect your UAE bank accounts directly into your Sarwa account. But beyond that, there's no PayPal integration. Now, if you're looking to transfer proceeds using international providers, we're very familiar with individuals using Wise. I've seen a few other ones as well too. Actually, they don't come to mind, but providing that you have the functionality to transfer proceeds from one bank to your Sarwa account, then that's absolutely fine. I would definitely recommend, though, Anonymous in this case, just follow the step-by-step guide either on the app or on the desktop itself. And if you need any help, just reach out to our customer support. They're available from 9 a.m. until 1 a.m. And that's this. I'm trying to remember what daylight savings time after. Anyways, 9 a.m. till 1 a.m. is what you're looking at. So you have quite wide access to be able to speak to someone. You're back, actually. Are you able to
Yes,
see it?
I'm
Okay.
I'm back, able to see everything. So thanks for that, Eamon. Got another question here from Saeed, who's asked, "What is auto trading in Sarwa Trade?" So thanks for your question, Saeed. So basically, auto trading is a recent feature that we launched for Sarwa Trade, which actually allows you to automatically place your trades. Right. So before, when you would place trades, every single time you'd have to go into the application and then basically instigate a buy order, initiate a buy order. So with this, you can actually automate it to say like, hey, look, every single month on the 5th of the month, I would like to buy X amount of, Tesla. So this is an automatic way to kind of place your trade. So that's the function that we now have on Sarwa Trade.
Amazing. Amazing. There's a question here by Roy. It said, is it possible to invest in stocks that pay dividends on Sarwa? Yes, absolutely, Roy. And so whether you use Sarwa Invest or Sarwa Trade, well, no, I shouldn't just generalize on Sarwa Trade. So right off the bat, if you're talking about Sarwa Invest, we're going to be providing you a portfolio that is globally diversified across various different asset classes and sectors, and also, again, geographic coverage as well too. Within those portfolios will include publicly listed companies that pay dividends. So all of our Sarwa Invest portfolios pay dividends directly into your portfolio, and we reinvest those dividends for you. On Sarwa Trade, you're behind the driver's wheel. You pick and choose what stock that you'd like to buy or which ETF that you like to buy. So it's a matter of you choosing the stocks that do pay dividends, because of course there's also companies that don't pay dividends. Even popular companies that we see all around us altogether, they're not at the stage of business maturation to pay dividends. So you just have to select the company that you are familiar with, that you have researched, that you understand, what the dividend yield is. And if you purchase stocks into that company, you're a shareholder, which means you're entitled to the dividends themselves. There is assistance on the app, by the way, which gives you, information about the dividend yield. It gives you just very high level information about the company and its current financial standings. There's also, in majority of the companies on there, especially the more popular ones, there is analyst ratings that tell you whether this company is a buy, whether it's a hold, or whether it's a sell. And essentially, the way these analyst ratings work, Roy, is that it's an accumulation of thousands of analysts who are reviewing that particular company, who look at the financials, look at the projections, look at their, they basically analyze the company up and down, and they make price predictions on which direction the company is going to go. So I would still, I would take this advice as, with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, they're just projections. They're estimates of where they believe the price estimates are going to go on there. But if you want to use this as a part of your research to be able to pick and choose the right stock for yourself, Roy, it's available and integrated into the app itself.
Great, thanks for that, Eamon. We've got a question here from Nasser, who's asked, what's the minimum amount to deposit in Sarwa Save Halal account? And what about the Sarwa Trade product? So Nasser, for Sarwa Save Halal and for Sarwa Save Conventional, so the minimum deposit amount is $500. So you can basically get started with $500 for that account. And with Sarwa Trade, you can technically get started with as little as $1 because you have the ability to buy fractional shares. So those are the two minimum amounts for those two products.
Amazing. Thank you for that. There was a question here by Saeed. Oh, I just lost it. Where did it go? Okay, no, it's Saeed Kashvali. My Sarwa Trade investment accounts were created automatically upon registration, but Sarwa Save account is not created automatically. Why is that the case? Because Saeed, it's not we don't automatically just give you the product. You have to choose the products that you want to open. So I don't know if you remember during the registration of stage or phase of your application, it'll ask you, say, hey, do you want Sarwa Invest? Do you want Sarwa Invest and Save? Do you want Sarwa Trade? So if you did opt for the Sarwa Save account, it should be open for you. If you haven't, not to worry. You literally just go back to the app itself right now. There's a prompt on the bottom that says open Sarwa Save. If you click it, we'll open it for you. If you need any help or if there's any irregularities, please just let our customer support team know. We'll get this rectified for you right away.
Perfect. Got a question from Rohit asking, can I buy partial shares of a company listed on the New York Stock Exchange through Sarwa? So yeah, really good question. And the answer is yes, you can. One of the benefits that we have on Sarwa Trade is you're able to buy, fractional shares, partial shares for companies that are listed on the New York Stock Exchange or any, US exchange for that matter. So technically you can, invest in, some companies, they trade for hundreds or thousands of dollars, but you can invest in them with as little as $1. So that's the possibility.
Amazing. So there's a question by Anonymous. It says, to be premium, does one need to invest at least 50,000 in Sarwa Invest specifically, or do the funds that we have in Sarwa Save also count towards a total amount of 50,000? Great question. And again, very popular name, Anonymous. So in the case of the fees themselves, they're specific to the product, right? So in the case of Sarwa Invest, again, it's 500 to 50,000, 50,000 to 100,000, 100,000 plus, in which you get either 0.85 or 0.7 or 0.5. That's solely exclusively for Sarwa Invest. So even if you have a balance that equates to be greater than $50,000 for Sarwa Save, keep in mind we don't charge anything for Sarwa Save, so that doesn't count or apply towards the balance that you're required to maintain for Sarwa Invest to qualify for platinum or premium status itself. So that is isolated specifically to that. Now, if it's a case where, let's just say you have multiple Sarwa Invest accounts, and this is the case, by the way, for a number of clients, and I see this very popular with individuals who have children, where they'll have one account, between husband and wife for their joint, retirement goals, and they'll open multiple accounts for their kids or on behalf of their kids. It's the accumulation, or it's a cumulative amount. So if you have one account that has $10,000, another account that has $10,000, another one that has 20, and another one that has 10, the cumulative amount there is $50,000, which means that you would qualify for premium pricing at that point in time. So it's cumulative. Anything within the ecosystem or scope of Sarwa Invest counts towards the minimum balance.
Great, Eamon. Thanks for that. We've got a question over here from Rohit asking, can I set up an SIP, so systematic investment plan, with Sarwa Invest, even though it's less than 500 US dollars? So Rohit, yes, you can. The way that you would set up that is through an auto deposit, which Eamon discussed earlier, where you just set up a standing order directly from your from your online banking. And you can do that for less than $500. So the $500 minimum, that's the amount to start with. But once you've completed, once you have that $500 amount, you have the ability to transfer as much or as little as you'd like to on whichever frequency that you'd like to as well.
Amazing. Thanks for that. There's a question here by Saeed. It says, can I use my own credit card to transfer funds to Sarwa? So yes, so number one, if it's your own card, it always has to be your card, so it can't be someone else's card. But number two, we don't take credit card. You cannot fund your account using credit card. It's debit card itself, Saeed. So yes, you can use your own debit card to fund your Sarwa accounts.
Great, Eamon. Thanks for that. Got a question here from Nasser. In your expert opinion, what would be the best for a beginner in Sarwa? Really good question, Nasser. So I think for a beginner, what a lot of people advocate for is Sarwa Invest, to be completely honest. Reason for that is, you don't actually need to do anything yourself. You just fill out the risk profile questionnaire and then we actually take care of the rest, right? So we talked about it before: portfolio construction, dividend reinvesting, investment rebalancing, all the portfolio maintenance is done for you. I think Invest is usually a really good product for beginners, but also for expert investors, to be honest, because unless you have the knowledge, the time, the inclination to manage your own investments, it can be quite challenging. But what a lot of our investors do is that they usually start with with Sarwa Invest. But if you are interested in the markets, and if you have any convictions about certain asset classes or certain companies or sectors, you also can get some exposure to Sarwa Trade, because Sarwa Trade, as I said before, right, you can start with as little as $1. So a good way to get some exposure to direct markets is by using trade, and maybe start off a bit smaller initially, and then see how that goes. And then once you get more comfortable, you can use a combination of it as well. And then a lot of people use Sarwa Save for, as I said, short-term cash reserves, down payment for a property, just to get it better, yield on your, on your cash at the end of the day. So I think there's a place for all of the products. But I think as a starting point, usually if you're looking for an investment journey, Sarwa Invest might be the best place to start.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, actually. And then just just a little bit of context here, Nasser. And so Sarwa has been operating for 6 years, and for 4 of those years, we only had Sarwa Invest. We didn't have trade. And interesting how Sarwa Trade came to be was essentially our existing clients who started to learn the habits and best practices on how to invest for yourself by watching us do it. And that's actually what was the source of the request to, hey, would you guys consider ever creating a trading platform? And that wasn't even in our roadmap, that wasn't in our plan, but just we started getting feedback from the same clients who were with us for all those many years who said, hey, I think I'm getting the hang of it. I'm watching what you guys do. I think I can do this also. And there's a financial incentive there as well, too. So if you notice the price variation between Sarwa Invest and Sarwa Trade, whereas at Sarwa Invest, it ranges from 0.85, but at the lowest point it'll be 0.5. Whereas on Sarwa Trade, it's 0.25 per trade, right? So if you think of it that way, there is a financial incentive. There's also an incentive for you to learn more and become more, active and involvement in understanding how markets, behave and how they operate, which, is knowledge that you'll never lose really at the end of the day, right? So it's very natural to start, especially if you're a first-time investor. And by the way, I should really caveat this. If you're a first-time investor, it's very natural to start with Invest, get an understanding not only about the technicalities, but also about how your emotions react to market movements. The beauty of Sarwa Invest is that it keeps your emotions at bay because the day-to-day management of the portfolio is automated itself. Your emotions won't impact the outcome unless you really take it to the point of selling everything and moving your money out, and that's the ultimate ability that you have to do that. But otherwise, the day-to-day management of the portfolio, it's all automated for you, which means that your emotions won't impact your investment decisions. With Sarwa Trade, it does. And if you get to the point that you're able to control these variables and you have the time, you have the capacity to invest and for yourself and research, definitely welcome you to try Sarwa Trade. But yeah, definitely agree with what Akshay said. I think it's a good starting point, especially if you're a first-time investor.
Great, thanks for that.
Right.
Um,
Oh, do you want to go? Sorry, go ahead.
So we've got a question here from Wasim, who's asked, for Sarwa Invest, how frequently do you reinvest dividends? Let's say I put $10,000 and after 1 month it makes 7%. What happens then? So Wasim, in terms of how frequent we reinvest dividends, so basically what happens is every single time that you put money into the Sarwa Invest account, it gets invested into ETFs. Now, these ETFs pay out dividends at different frequencies depending on the ETF. So some get paid out every month, some get paid out every quarter, some get paid out, every half year. So with that being said, right, a certain amount of money needs to accumulate into the cash accounts for them to basically reinvest. So it's not done on a frequency basis as per se, it's been done on a need basis. And every single time that we basically reinvest your dividends, we actually will rebalance the portfolio automatically too. So we make sure that the dividends are reinvested into the correct asset allocation that's prescribed by your risk level. So, you mentioned the example of, if you put in $10,000 after 1 month, if you make $7,000, and I assume you mean in terms of the return, what's going to happen then is, look, where you're just going to have a return. If there's a need to rebalance the portfolio, then that'll basically be done. But it wouldn't impact the dividends as per se.
Absolutely. There's a question here by Noor. It says, does the fee applicable for both buying and selling the stocks? Okay, so I think Noor is referring to the 0.25%. Yes, so for buying or for selling, it's 0.25% of the trade amount. In the case of crypto, it's 0.75% is what you're looking at. I'll just maybe take the next one because I know we're short on time here. So Anonymous asked,
Yeah.
can I withdraw my Sarwa account to my Indian bank account? Yes, you can withdraw to any bank account under your name anywhere in the world. I mean, assuming it's not going to a country that's considered to be sanctioned. So if you live in North Korea, I know we wouldn't even be able to onboard you, but if you just somehow seem to have a bank account in North Korea, we wouldn't be able to transfer it there. But anywhere else in the world that you hold a bank account, absolutely.
Great, thanks for that, Eamon. Maybe I know that we're, a little bit over time. It's 7 o'clock, so a lot of people have been, on the call for a while. Maybe we can go through some of the questions that have quick answers. Um, so we've got a question here from Sarah who says, "Can we get a monthly payout in Sarwa Save?" Yes, you do. You get basically the interest is on a yearly basis. However, it's paid out every single month, so that interest is actually compounding monthly for Sarwa Save.
Absolutely. There's a
Also
question
got
by
a yeah.
Banasri. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say there's a question from Noor also. So
Oh,
is the fee applicable for both buying and selling the
oh,
stocks?
I just answered that one. Yeah, that was the one
Oh,
I just
okay.
answered referring. Yeah, no worries.
Perfect.
Let's take this one by Bannister. I think it's a really good one. To create joint accounts, what's the process? Whether both persons need to connect their account or debit card? No, actually, Bannister. So you can opt for a joint Sarwa Invest account. You can opt for a joint Sarwa Save account. Sarwa Trade / crypto does not provide joint accounts or a single account, but for Sarwa Invest and Save, you can. Through the application journey, it'll actually ask you, Banasri, would you like a joint account? And if you say yes, you simply enter the second person's email address. We're actually going to send them an email to invite them to register for the platform. And once they register, they upload their ID, they take their selfies, we'll create a joint account for you. If for any reason, you've missed that invite, or maybe you've already opened your own single account and you want to open a joint account, just reach out to our customer support team. They'll help you through it, Abanesri, but it's very simple to do.
Great, Eamon. Thank you. Just got a question over here asking, can you let us know the last year's average performance for Sarwa Invest 2 out of 6 with crypto? And can we see the history of the Sarwa Invest portfolios for the last 5 years? So Anonymous, look, you actually can. If you go onto the Sarwa website and you click on the Invest tab, we actually have all of the historical performance there. So for every single portfolio type, um, basically, and all of the different risk levels also. So you have the ability to go back and look at, as long as these portfolios have been in inception, you can look back at all of the historical returns.
Okay, excellent. I think I just want to, maybe we'll take one more question from somebody who hasn't had a chance to hear their questions addressed, but it looks like the remaining ones are individuals who've already asked a lot of questions. That's fine. I'll just take one on here. I'll go to Saeed once more. He'll take us home on this one. For Sarwa Invest, can I change my risk profile on the go? Is there any cap on it? Is there X number of changes in a day, week, or month? So Saeed, you'll be happy to know you can change your risk profile at any juncture that you would like. So no, there's no cap on how many times a day, week, or month you can change it, but it'd be very it would not be advantageous. It would be a disadvantage if you change your risk profile constantly. And why I say that, Saeed, is that if we're talking specifically about Sarwa Invest, you've been given a recommendation on what level of risk to take, and that level recommendation is based on how you responded to the questionnaire, which identifies where you are in your current financial circumstances, your goals, your timelines, and it's a very accurate recommendation. Now, if you're changing it, what are the reasons why you're changing it? Are you changing it because maybe your circumstances have changed, and as a result, maybe you need to adjust your investment strategy? Or is it, which is what I'm worried about, are you changing it as a reactionary measure to how markets have performed? If it's the latter, if it's the second one, that's a cause for concern, because if you're changing it due to market volatility, understand what's happening when you change your risk profile. And let's give you an example. Let's just say you're in a risk profile 6 out of 6. which is our most aggressive portfolio, of which 94% of your money is invested in stocks and 6% is in fixed income, right? Or if you're in a halal portfolio, it's a sukuk, right? I mean, that's your safety element is that 6%, and 94% is where you're going to get your growth, but also where the volatility is. If you're watching the news one evening, and let's just say it's Wednesday evening, and you see that the markets are doing really terrible that day, they're down by 1%, maybe even 2%, which is really considerable in the grand scheme of things. And as a reactionary measure, you decide to change your risk profile from a 6 to a 5, or to a 4, or to a 3. What's happening essentially is that you are selling your stocks in favor of buying bonds or sukuk in that case, right? Because you're changing your risk profile. Now, the market just went down and you've sold your stocks at a time when the markets are down. So essentially, Said, you are solidifying your losses then. And if you repeatedly do this over and over again, you're essentially, kind of accelerating the loss in your portfolio if you're trying to keep up or catch up to returns in reaction to how the market is performing. So it would not be advantageous for you to constantly change it, but you have the functionality to change it anytime you'd like. It's just recommended you do it based on your circumstances changing versus as a reactionary measure to the markets. Hope this helps. Wow. Actually, I don't know if you're still on. Okay, you disappeared there for a bit.
Yes.
I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I know you've taken time, out of your evening, and maybe some of you are driving home right now, or you already made it home and you're having a dinner while talking to us. We want to say thank you for taking the time to learn and ask questions. And this is how you empower yourself, and this is how you become a better investor. It doesn't stop here. Okay, investing is a journey. It's a marathon. Actually, that's probably a better, more apt example. It's not a sprint. Okay, and there's always going to be opportunities to learn and opportunities to develop your understanding of how markets work and understand best practices, how to become a better investor. To that, I say we invite you to more webinars and seminars that we have on a variety of different topics throughout the year and the many years to come. There's also a lot of educational material in our blog section of our website and also in our FAQs. There's a lot of useful information in there. And of course, reach out to us. We don't bite at all, right? So you can always reach out to our customer support team, via WhatsApp. It's directly integrated onto your phone itself. So you can literally log into your Sarwa account, go to help, and you can contact us directly. They're available from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. So yes, and hello from someone else with a Canadian accent. Hello to you too, Simon, as well. We want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to working with you for many years to come.
Thank you, everyone.
Ciao.